In this third video on the lesson Reproduction in Organisms, we'll be covering the topics related to sexual reproduction. The two main topics that we'll be discussing besides definition of sexual reproduction are the three phases of lifespan, how they influence sexual reproduction, and second, we'll be studying the special cases of modes of sexual reproduction in plants as well as in animals. So this video is for class 12 students. Please continue. With the definition of sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is defined as formation of new organisms by the process of fusion of gametes. Can you repeat this definition? Pause the video and try to repeat, or you can revisit the definition. Now, on the basis of this definition, we'll deduce a few characteristics of sexual reproduction. The first characteristic is two parents are involved. Now, the male gamete is produced by the male parent and the female gamete is produced by the female parent. So, usually two parents are involved. I say usually because it is not essential. There are certain cases in plants as well as sometimes in animals when the same parent is capable of producing male as well as the female gamete. Can you recall such cases in plants and in fact in animals as well? Try to recall, we'll come back to this later on. The second characteristic is formation of gametes. Right in the definition we said fusion of gametes. So for fusion of gametes to occur, the male and the female gametes have to be formed. The special feature of these gametes is that they are haploid. That is, they contain only one set of chromosome denoted as small n. Now, for normally an organism has 2n chromosome, that is, it is a diploid. So, for a diploid organism to form a haploid organism, a special type of cell division has to occur, and that special type of cell division is known as, yes, it is known as meiosis. So meiosis, remember we denote it by two cuts on the line like this. It's a special type of cell division which occurs during formation of gametes. But again, we come to an exception. There are cases where formation of gametes may not be preceded by meiosis. I'll give you a hint. Do you recall alteration of generation from previous year? Okay, so I would like you to revisit that topic, go through that topic again and find out cases where the gamete or the haploid gametes are formed, but the formation of gamete is not preceded by meiosis. What would that special case be? The third feature of sexual reproduction is that it is a very elaborate feature because the first 2 points that we just covered, that two parents are involved, gametes have to be formed, then gametes have to be allowed to or ensured that they reach each other, and fertilization should occur successfully, and even after fertilization the development should occur properly and successfully. So this entire process is a very complex and a slow process, and it is elaborate. It takes a lot of time. Finally, the most important feature or the significance of sexual reproduction. In this process, the offspring are not identical to parents. You just saw that it is usually that two parents are involved. Now, since two parents are involved, the gametes bring genes from the male as well as the female parent. So the offspring formed will have certain characteristic of the male parent, some of the female parent, and some that may be unique features. So these are the variations that are unique to sexual reproduction. These variations are important because the progeny or the offspring is not identical to either of the parents. It has some characters which are completely different, completely new also, and these new combinations or new features are responsible for the process of evolution. This we'll be doing later on when we study genetics, that is your second unit. Now, the next topic that we do is the pattern of sexual reproduction. We go back to the topic lifespan. In the topic lifespan, we studied these three phases. Sexual reproduction is preceded by the juvenile or vegetative phase, which is also known as pre-reproductive phase. This phase should be complete before reproductive phase can be started. Now, reproductive phase in plants starts with the blooming or the flowering. In animals, we call it as puberty. Puberty means that the organism has completed its juvenile phase. Its reproductive organs are completely developed and mature, functional, and are capable of producing gametes now. So physiologically, the animal is ready for reproduction. And then we have the last aging and senescence phase, that is also known as post-reproductive phase. One of the key features of this phase is that the organism loses its ability to reproduce, and this we'll be again doing in detail in your later classes. One is plants. In plants, the organisms are classified into annuals, that is, the organisms which complete their entire life cycle within 1 year. Biennials, or the organisms which require 2 years to complete their life cycle. Generally, these plants will complete their vegetative phase in the first year, and flowering and reproductive phase will be completed in the second year. After formation of seed, these plants die. The third group is the perennials. Perennials are organisms which live for many years. So annuals, biennials, and perennials. Your second assignment is to find out the example of organisms or plants belonging to these three categories. Now these are the two special cases, bamboo and Strobilanthes kuntiana, also known as Neel Kuranji. We'll come back to these two special cases later. First we'll discuss another term, that is monocarpic, polycarpic. Now organisms or plants which flower only once in their life are known as monocarpic. These are generally either annuals or biennials. Common examples are rice, wheat, radish, etc. Then we have organisms or plants which flower multiple times during their life cycle, or we can say that they flower every year in their specific flowering or blooming season. So annuals and biennials are monocarpic, perennials are polycarpic. Then we have the special case of bamboo, which is a perennial plant, but it is monocarpic. So bamboo, you know, is perennial, it lives for many years, but it flowers only once in its entire life cycle. The next is Strobilanthes kuntiana. Now this Strobilanthes kuntiana or Nilgaranji is found in Nilgiri Hills, and it has very pretty purple colored flowers. These flowers are produced once in 12 years. So every 12 years, this Nilkuranji produces these beautiful purple color flowers, and the entire Nilgiri Hills become covered with these flowers of Nilgiri. Now, these 2 points you have to remember about sexual reproduction process. The first point is that the three phases that we just discussed, juvenile, reproductive, and senescence, are of different length in different organisms. And second, change from one phase to the other is controlled by hormones. Hormones are responsible for an organism leaving one phase and entering the second phase.